Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be men who understand women never argue with them. So I've got an email from a guy, and he claims he's read 3% Man over 20 times. However, his girlfriend of 9 months just dumped him because, as he was saying, he says 90% of the time they've had a really great relationship. He said, but lately they've been arguing a lot. Arguing is not communicating with somebody. A woman must feel heard and understood in the relationship. If she feels heard and understood, the legs open. And if she doesn't, the legs close. And so all of this arguing has gotten her to the point where she feels like he doesn't understand her, he doesn't get her, and she's lost hope that it is fixable, because he has not shown that he's capable of communicating with her and making things work. At the end of the day, us guys, we get blamed for everything. We're supposed to be the leaders, so if the relationship works, we get to take credit for it. If it doesn't, then we get to blame ourselves for it. That's part of being what a man is all about. If you don't like it, well, there are sex changes that can be taken, or you can date the same sex, if you will. If you don't like it, I'm just here to tell you how it is. If you want to have a good relationship, you gotta communicate. You have to ask really good, high quality questions. You need to first focus on understanding the other person before you seek to be understood yourself by the other person. Because what happens is, I would have to say more than likely, this girl broke up with this guy this quickly over this issue. She's probably young, probably immature. It's not a healthy thing for a woman to break up with a guy unless she really and she did come right out and say, we aren't working. And so that tells me she's gotten to a point where she's like, this is not fixable. It's not salvageable. We're having the same conversation over and over and nothing's getting resolved, because he's 9 months down the line and he's probably, without realizing, has reverted back to the way he used to be. And so he's trying to win an argument. When it comes to women, even if you win the argument, you're going to lose, because they're still going to be pissed off. It doesn't work. So you have to get to a place where she feels like you understood her and where she is coming from. And if she does feel that way, things are going to be easy and effortless. Now, this is assuming it's a healthy, mentally stable woman that can and is capable of communicating like an adult. Not the ratchets that all the butthurt babies in the red pill community are always getting involved with, because they keep attracting the same people. Again, my book, the work, everything is the assumption you got a normal, healthy woman. But if you don't, if you're involved with a ratchet and you apply what's in the book, you will bounce the ratchet or ratchets right out of your life. So let's go through his email. He says, hey, Corey, I hope you're good. I'll make it quick. My girlfriend of 9 months broke up with me today. We had a great relationship 90% of the time. However, arguments in recent weeks have made her feel sad, and she said she struggles to see past it. So in other words, she gave up. She's like, and she came around and said, quote, we aren't working. We aren't working. That's just another phrase for, I don't feel heard and understood. I don't feel like he understands me. He's not getting me. I've tried numerous times to get through to him, and we're just arguing. And so it sounds like he's trying to win the argument instead of trying to understand where she's coming from, and most importantly, make her feel like he understands where she's coming from, how what's going on in the relationship has made her feel, maybe how it's hurt her feelings, how it's upset her. But at the end of the day, he didn't say what they were arguing about. Maybe it's the same thing. I don't really know. But the bottom line is she got to a point where she's given up because she doesn't feel like she can get through to him. She doesn't feel heard and understood. Again, I'm assuming she's a normal, healthy woman and not some kind of Fruit Loop. So he says, when she was breaking up with me, we were actually grabbing a coffee together. She was crying her eyes out, constantly wanting to hug me, kissing me passionately. She told me countless times she loves me. I'm sure she does. He says, I then asked her how she felt about me seeing other people and if she was okay with that, to which she replied no. However, she also said that she had made up her mind even though she loves me so much. I'd say she loves you, probably not, she's not in love with you. If you've been arguing all the time, her interest has been dropping. And so if her interest is dropping and her feelings are declining, she can still love you, but she definitely ain't in love with you. That's just a fact of life. So she's made up her mind it ain't gonna work. It takes two to tango. So what she's basically saying is she's tapping out. She doesn't want to make the effort anymore. Bottom line, her actions, she's at the point where she doesn't want to make the effort anymore because she ain't feeling it. Her interest has dropped. And one of the things that's in my book is you don't argue with women, and yet he's arguing with her constantly. So you didn't listen, you didn't follow instructions. Doesn't matter. You read the book 20 times. If you're doing the opposite of what it says, doesn't matter. He says, I went to her house, grabbed my things. The whole time I was smiley, upbeat, and understanding, stating what I wanted and how I felt, and told her to call me if she changed her mind. So you're going to have to be congruent with that. When leaving her room, she stood in front of me and again kissed me passionately, hugged me like she didn't want to let go, and proceeded to tell me probably another 10 times how she loves me. He says, I don't get it. Her actions and what she is telling me has confused me. I'm into no contact. What is your take on this? And is there a likelihood I will hear from my dream girl again? He says, thanks, man. I appreciate your content, and I've read your book 20 times over the years. Well, I'd be reading it again if I were you, but things to consider. I'm assuming she's happy, healthy, and this is somebody that you can work out your differences with. But if she's a lunatic, if she's not a good communicator, because I did an article, I want to say 12 Principles of Successful Relationships maybe, where I think that may have been it, may have been a different one, but I've talked about this over the years, there's been studies that are done, and when you have a situation, because there are people, I did another video called Breakups as a Weapon, where people who, in order to get you to comply, they constantly threaten to end the relationship or threaten to dump you or threaten to break up with you. 95% of those relationships where one or both people are doing that, they never work out. Because at some point, you just get tired of it. You can't work out your differences if the other person is basically constantly threatening to withdraw themselves and their presence from your life. That's not loving. That's what that's communicating is I'm going to give up, I'm willing to give up unless things change. And I mean, at the end of the day, you get to a point where you do need to give up on certain people. They just cannot get their act together. But he didn't say anything about what they were arguing over. If it was something he was arguing with her or she was arguing with him. Maybe he's upset at her. I mean, they were out on a coffee date, so maybe things were going sideways for the last several weeks. Maybe he was complaining he wasn't spending enough time with her. Oftentimes, just because of all the phone sessions I've done over the years, a lot of times it's the guy getting butthurt over something she's doing. She's not paying attention to him. She's not spending time. There's not enough sex, whatever it happens to be. And it just makes it blow up on them. So if a guy's complaining and whining and not romancing her properly or communicating properly, the relationship is going to end. And so obviously, again, we're going to assume that she's happy and healthy and it was just a result of him not communicating. Because again, she says we're not working, so they're not getting along. They're not able to see eye to eye on whatever it is. But it takes two people. She has unilaterally changed the terms of the relationship. She's unilaterally decided she's not going to make the effort. And so the fact that she's kissing him and holding on to him shows she cares. But if we take a step back and we bottom line our actions, it's like she still broke up with him. Women don't dump men that they're in love with. So this tells me she's definitely not in love with him. She may love him and she may care about him. But at the present time, she no longer saw a future together because her interest was low enough to the point where she's like, this is a lost cause. It ain't going to work. We can't fix this. He wanted to work things out, but she says, hit the road, Jack. So he grabbed his stuff and he hit the road jack and he ain't ever coming back no more, no more, no more, unless she reaches out. And so I'd say it's, what's the likelihood that he'll hear from her again? 50-50, flip a coin. But at the end of the day, you're a free agent. So I would get back out there. I know you don't want to. Start dating other women. Move on with your life. And if she's like, how'd you move on so quickly? I'm a wreck. It's like, you weren't willing to work it out. It takes two to tango. So if you're unwilling to make the relationship work and you unilaterally ended it, it's obviously that tells me you didn't value what we had very much. You weren't really willing to fight that hard. We had a few arguments over the last few weeks, and your solution was just to end it instead of trying to work things out. That just tells me that you don't value what we had. So I'm not going to try to stay with somebody who doesn't value what we have and what I bring to the table. I'll just go find somebody else. That's my attitude. I'm sorry if it hurts your feelings, but you broke it off with me. You refused to make things work in our relationship. So never try to keep somebody in your life who doesn't want to keep you in theirs. But at this point, it's you're should be following the script from 7 Principles to Get an Ex Back. If she ever reaches out, you're not going to go meet her for coffee or any bullshit like that. It sounds like what it was, she asked to meet you for coffee so she could have the breakup talk with you. Because that's an easy thing. It's just a cup of coffee. She could do it in a public place, maybe because she's worried about how you're going to react. And then you go back and you collect your belongings and you're like, I'm out of here. So if she does reach out, she's got to fix it. If she reaches out to you, she's like, hey, I was like, what's up, babe? I miss you. I'd love to see you. We should get together and make dinner at my place. Why don't you grab a bottle of wine and come on over? Don't go meet her out. Don't go pick her up. No more coffee. No lunch dates. No nothing. She's got to earn another chance with you, not the other way around. So that means that she's got to come over and make dinner, hang out, have fun, and hook up while you're there. You got to make sure she feels heard and understood, and that means she's got to do most of the talking. You have to get to a point where it's like you got to ask good quality questions. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? I did one, we were doing one with Jocelyn recently, and I can't even remember the name of it. It was like a couple weeks ago. It was on Instagram, and there was something that she was explaining about, I think it was like emotionally unavailable guys. And what she was saying wasn't really making sense, and I kept going digging. I was like, what do you mean? It was cool because we captured it on camera. Because the average guy that's, in a situation like that, she's saying, well, guys are cold and emotionally distant. And what was really the crux of it for Jocelyn was that she didn't feel like he understood her emotionally. But yet she's saying that the guy wasn't being emotional enough. And so that's the importance of being able to ask really high quality questions like, what do you mean? And you'll see in the video, I kept saying, what do you mean? What do you mean? And I really kept digging, and then come to find out, it wasn't really what she was saying. It was the opposite of that. And it was like, ah. And I remember looking at the camera, I was like, see how that works? It's like, it's an art. It's not a black and white thing. And so you have to get women to the, and I even asked her at the end of the video, I was like, do you feel heard and understood? And she's like, yes. I assume it was there unless Caroline edited that part out, but it was a cool video to capture that because these are things that happen spontaneous. It's not something that happens that often where there's, because men and women, we communicate differently. And so you got to ask great high quality questions. And so when you're sitting down and she's over at your house, you're making dinner, it's like, how you been? What's up? What have you been thinking? And let her talk. Let her do most of the talking. You got to get her to the point where, and there was the other video I did many years ago called How to Communicate with Women Effectively. You should definitely be watching that one as well, because after reading this, your communication skills suck. If you're arguing with a woman, you're not communicating with her, and that's on you, because you should know better. You read the book 20 times and you did the exact opposite. And so the fact that she broke up with you doesn't surprise me. I don't know whether she's a Fruit Loop or not. I can't tell. I'm assuming she's normal and healthy, and more than likely after a few days or a few weeks, she'll probably reach back out and be like, hey, or I miss you. This is really tough for me. I was like, well, great. Let's make dinner. Again, she has to come to you. She's got to come to your place 3 times in a row to make dinner in the evening. And if she does that and you hang out and you have fun, you hook up all 3 times, then you can start dating her and going out on dates. But she's got to do 100% of the pursuing when she comes back, because that will get her interest up. But she's got to get to the point where she feels heard and understood. So if you got a question or a challenge, maybe you're in a situation like this. It's like you're trying to understand your girl and you're going, I don't understand what the hell she's trying to say to me. It doesn't make any sense. I'm good at deciphering those things. So you should go to my website, understandingrelationships.com, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book a coaching session with yours truly so I can help you resolve things. The idea is we want to head these things off before the breakup has happened, and especially before the girl has moved on and moved in with a new boyfriend. I've had dudes call me over the years. He's like, oh, my girlfriend back. I was like, whoa, we broke up 6 months ago. And I was like, okay, what's going on now? He's like, well, she lives with her boyfriend, her new boyfriend. I was like, what? I was like, dude, she's moved on. I'm really good at what I do, but it's like when she's already living with somebody else, it's kind of too late. She may come back in the future if that relationship doesn't work out, but Elvis has left the building at that point. So again, understandingrelationships.com, click the products tab at the top of your screen and book a coaching session. So until next time, I will talk to you soon.